Welcome.
To the joy of coding.
Hello and welcome to episode 410 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. Gonna be live hacking on some Firefox stuff. Gonna be trying to fix some things and review some things, and who knows what's gonna go on. It's episode 410, The Joy of Coding. No plan survives breakfast. In fact, that's how I tend to start every episode. No plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I might want to do. I think I know the general plan, but I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work out. I even forgot to check to see if the bridge is working. Let me just quickly test. Bridge test, please ignore. If you're in the Twitch chat, why don't you let me know? Send something over the Twitch chat, and hopefully I'll be able to see it, and then I'll know the bridge is working. Let's get right into it. Well, as per the last few episodes, for episode 410, I'm going to do the thing where I talk about the relevant HTTP code and show this image from Keanu.codes. Oh, thank you, Crushed Optimist, for the ping pong. Much appreciated. So the bridge is working. So this looks to be a scene from, I'm going to guess, one of the Matrixes. Well, no, because that looks like Wick. And so this image may be a bit of a spoiler because some people look to be dead, but I'm gonna guess this is from John Wick, and this is for HTTP code 410 gone. So let's see what that's all about. HTTP 410 gone. This client error response status code indicates that the target resource is no longer available at the origin server, which is different from not found. This is gone. And that this condition is likely to be permanent. And this is cacheable by default. And clients should not repeat requests for resources that return 410. And in fact, website owners should remove or replace links that return this code. If server owners don't know whether this condition is temporary or permanent, then you should use 404, not found, instead. But if you know that your resource is gone for good, you're supposed to send a 410 gone. So in this case, the following GET request is for a page with promotional content that's no longer valid. So they go get some 2023 promo content at example.com. They get a 410 gone. Promotion expired. Ba-boom. There you go. And that is HTTP code 410. All right, so what are we doing today? Well, I'm hoping that we can work on a little something related to a project I've been working on with a couple of other colleagues to make it possible to ship changes to new tab out of band from the rest of the browser. I've codenamed this train hopping because this is we have the train model where like even the nightly and the beta and the release train, and then like every 4 week the trains run on time. Train hopping, I call it train hopping because we're effectively going to be like moving some code from one train to another train without incurring the overhead of a dot release, and doing it using the extension mechanism. And it's a little bit of a stunt, which is why I use train hopping, because that sounds like a stunt. It's not the sort of thing that like we want to do all the time with all kinds of different bits and pieces. But for NewTab, it seems particularly important. And we do it for something else as well. The WebCompat Interventions add-on. This is the extension that makes sure that if there are things that we could be fixing WebCompat-wise, it does so using the using the WebCompat extension. If you're not familiar, let me actually pull that up. Hold on just a quick sec here. What's going on here? WebCompat. If you're not familiar with the WebCompat extension, check this out. So the WebCompat extension lives inside of Browser Extensions WebCompat, and it has like a whole bunch of like overrides for various sites. And so the way that that's supposed to work is that like when you want to you want to make your websites work out in the wild, and sometimes that means reaching out to the websites and saying, hey, you're doing this thing wrong, it's not working in Firefox, maybe it's working in other browsers, but you need to make this change. We can sometimes, before waiting for them to do that change, we can sometimes shim the issue. We can like add little fixes. Like I'm gonna pick one, for example. This is some let's pick one. CBS News. What does this do? It's an override for Android to use the JS HLS player. Spoofing as Chrome forces the site's HLS.js player. Native HLS is controlled by media HLS enabled, which defaults to false. When false, video doesn't play back at all. When true, the video will play back for a minute or two before stopping. With this override, video playback works consistently regardless of how media HLS enabled is configured. So this is just a workaround. And then it writes this, it says that I guess we're overriding the user agent in this particular case. And, there are other different sites that will do, and then we'll go talk to the website and be like, hey, you should probably do it this other way. Anyways, that is shipped out of band. You don't necessarily have to wait until that code in Nightly makes it to release. We can package up the code and we can send it in the current beta and release channels. And the same is true for NewTab. So we've moved NewTab into a subdirectory under Browser Extensions NewTab. And it is now possible for us to package up Nightly's NewTab and, in theory, deploy it into other instances of Firefox. In fact, if you open up Firefox, this is a release instance of Firefox that I'm launching right now. And I've gone to Wikipedia. If you open it up, and I guess 140.0.4 is the one that's out right now. If you go to About Support, you'll actually see NewTab listed as an extension under add-ons at version 140.0.0. So 140 was the first version where NewTab shipped packaged as a built-in extension. So we've done that by default. It appears to be working, and that now we have like this pathway where we can like update it out of band. So one of the things that we need to account for is the fact that, sometimes we add things in NewTab that require strings, and by strings, I mean like the characters that, like popular today, this is a string. This is in English for me, but for like another instance, like say we were looking at the Italian version of Firefox, this would not say popular today. It would say something else entirely. In fact, if we can actually look that up, what it would say I actually don't think popular today comes. I think that actually comes from the Merino endpoint. But let me pick a different one. Let's pick a different string. Let's pick one of these context menu strings, like open our sponsors in your privacy. Let's do that. Our sponsors and your privacy, and that exists at this string here is in English for Canada, the Great Britain, and U.S. English. And whenever we translate it, we ship different FTLs, and we happen to package those FTL files inside of the extension. And that way, it is possible for us to, because the strings arrive with the extension, as soon as the translations are done, we could, in theory, package up an extension with those updated strings and ship a feature that's relying on that string to that particular region. So in this case, going back to our example of Italian, this is our sponsors and your privacy in Italian. And this is, those translations are done by our volunteer contributors. Hey, do you speak more than one language? Do you speak more than one written language and you want to get involved with Firefox? Help us out. You may be interested in something called Pontoon. Pontoon is a way that you can help localize our projects. You can volunteer your time and help us translate strings. So that if engineering, developers, Firefox developers will land strings in English, and then to support all of the localizations that Firefox supports in all the regions, we need people to who know the languages to translate from English to those target languages. And so you yourself can volunteer to localize, and it's a big help. So if you know more than one language, written language, this may be a contribution pathway for you. You don't need to know how to code. Here, let's see what it looks like. Let me just sign in. Hang on, let me sign in to my instance here. And you can just let's take a look at the different projects. We'll look at Firefox because that's the thing I work on. And let's see, are there any strings that are missing? Yeah, Estonian. There are 75. Oh, there's only 75% coverage. So like we'll have fallbacks. I don't know exactly what the fallback is for Estonian, but the worst case scenario, it falls back to English. But if we can get all of these up to 100, that'd be great. Do you know Fula? Do you know Gujarati or Hindi? Maybe you can help us translate. This one really needs help. Iloko. Ixil, Kannada, a bunch of these. Kichwa really needs, like this one looks brand new, so we're gonna need some help there. This needs to be translated. Korean's at 100. What else needs help? Do you know Persian? It's at 71%, and you can help out. So like this is what it looks like. If let's say we're a Persian, someone who can read Persian, and we can see sort of like what is required. We can see like, okay, well, these are the different files that are translated, and some of them maybe are at 0%. Let's look at one that's close to 100. NSS errors. So let's open up NSS errors, and the one that is not translated. Let's see, where can we find one that's not translated? There's got to be a way of just saying ones that are not translated. I'm not really a heavy user of Pontoon. Oh, here it is. The certificate authority that issued the certificate was distrusted before the certificate was used. And so this is your opportunity to like supply a string and suggest a translation. And there are other tools that you can use. Like this is a suggestion from Google Translate. You could try and rephrase that. Let's get a different rephrasing. I'll go ahead and use Google Translate. So like maybe you read this language and this string looks good. You could just like copy that in and suggest it, or you could like write your own. So yeah, there you go. There you go. Surely there's got to be a way of just filtering out the ones that are not translated. But if there is, I don't know what it is. Anyways, if that's a thing that interests you, help us out. Okay, so we've got those strings. Let's say they're translated. Then we have to bring them into the extension. And so we have a command for that in our new tab code base, mock new tab update locales. And what that'll do is it'll pull down the strings, the translated strings, and make sure that they get packaged correctly. And then we can land them in Central. Now the problem is that I ran this the other day, and this is what I got. So I'm gonna run it, and you'll see what happens. So first of all, it has to like clone the localization. It does a shallow clone of all of the localized strings, and then it pulls out just the right stuff. So kind of a heavy operation here. And then it scans around. And then I get this exception. And I need to figure out what's going wrong here. It's under an indent other than 2 is not supported. Under Mozfile JSON in dump S. So I guess, did we change how JSON works? I think we might have. And you know what? I may have failed to review a thing properly, because I think we changed from JSON to Mozfile JSON, which uses a slightly I think it uses a more efficient algorithm. It's considerably faster, so let's use it everywhere. But it sounds like the indent depth needs to be changed to 2 rather than 4. So I'd like to do that. Let's change that. Now, I am not particularly proud of these Python scripts that I wrote. Python's not my natural language, I'd say. But indent. There it is. There's 2 instances of indent equals 4. I'm going to say indent equals 2. And let's see if it likes that better. See if that goes through. Done. Okay, so that worked. And now let's take a look at the resulting diff. So it added a bunch of, like, mostly just an empty comment. That appears to be what's gone in for some things. And then we've got some translations have gone in. And then crucially, there's this file that's like this massive report that gets generated to say what the current string snapshot, what its sort of string state is, and it looks like that got overwritten. What's annoying is that because it's a JSON file, and I don't think I'm sorting it correctly, it looks like it did a full like overwrite. And that's another thing I'd like to fix if I can in this patch, so that it sorts it properly. Let's see here. How far are we gonna have to go? GD. Yeah, I think the locales are not in alphabetical order, which is why it comes back kind of in a non-deterministic order. And then, yeah, so the locales need to be put alphabetical. I think that's kind of important. So that's what I'm going to do next. So let's start by reverting. Is that what I want to do? Revert? Yeah. JJ revert, browser, extensions, new tab, locales. Maybe still not enough indent. Oh, that's the other thing. Yeah. Like the indent has also changed. So that's going to change the styling. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure what's going on. Wait, can I not supply a path for revert? JJ revert help. Apply the reverse of a given revision. How do I like... oh boy. Jujutsu revert changes to folder. I'm sure I've just forgotten. Abandon, absorb, bookmark, describe diff, duplicate, edit, git, operation, JJ restore maybe. Restore paths from, yeah, that's what I want. JJ restore, not revert. Nothing changed. Bull. Do I have to supply it maybe with the revision? So JJ restore from main. If you like to modify the current revision, use from. Nothing changed. What? JG restore defaults to the working copy. This is very strange. So it means that the paths get the same content in the destination as they had in the source. JJ restore is it, do I have to supply like something like that? No. Restore only these paths instead of all paths. Preserve the content, not the diff when rebasing tool. From revision to restore from F main at origin, revision to restore into to current one. No matches found. Nothing changed. It says that nothing has changed under browser extensions new tab. Oh, you know what? Because I got the paths wrong. It's not new tab locales. It's WebExt glue locales. That's why. Turns out user error. User error. That's all I wanted. Okay, so first commit bug. I haven't filed the bug for this. Use 2 space indent for locales report. For locales report and supported locales JSON files. Okay, so that's the first one. And then the second one is I need to sort the actual locales. Sort each locale list of missing message IDs alphabetically. So, right, I sorted the messages alphabetically. And then the list of missing message IDs alphabetically. So, locales, I need to basically sort a dictionary. How do I do that? Python sort dictionary. How do you sort a dictionary? Sort dictionary by key. Ordered dict. Standard Python dictionary is under. If you sort the key value pairs, we'll sort them in these ways. Use an ordered dict to remember the order in which the elements have been inserted. For Python 3 users, one needs to use the items instead of iter items. For KVN items, print K. What am I seeing here? That's going to give me insertion order. Oh, right. So what I'll do is I'll sort the keys. That makes sense. And then sort a dictionary by key for JSON. I need to like put sorting. If you do a standard no inherent notion of ordering. It's just a key to value map, so your items lose all order when you place them into the values variable. Deterministic order would be you sort keys. That sounds interesting. What's sort keys? You can use dict items. If the order of your dict is important, you would want to use order dict from the collections module and you can sort it pretty simply. Sorted ordered items for sorting the nested dictionaries. Ordered dict has been long since unnecessary. Starting with Python 3.6, dict keys are in order of insertion. Python dict JSON dump ordered keys. Both Python dict and JSON object are unordered collections. You could pass sort keys parameter to sort the keys. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want for JSON.dump s. Now, JSON dump sort keys. Do I have that on Moz file? Moz file import JSON. Keys. It does have sort keys. Okay, and that appears to just kind of like wrap. Okay. Okay, so let's... I'm actually curious to know if I even need to do this step then. Like, is it going to sort all keys? JSON sort keys Python. If true, dictionaries will be outputted sorted by key. And what is the... What was the... Oh, because these are arrays, not dictionaries. Okay, so that's good. So I still need to do this because these are arrays. And then I'm going to do sort keys equals true. And might as well do it for this as well. Sort keys equals true. And now let's run our command again. Woo! Sounds like we've got ourselves a spammer named 9-year-old Piper Dio. Feel free to kick him. With prejudice. Shame on you, 9-year-old Piper Dio, 8LIK. Shame. Shame. I was not aware of sort keys. This is very interesting. Okay. Now if we take a look at the diff, we should hopefully see inside of that big report, the very first locale is ace. That's good. That's very good. And then it's also putting these in alphabetical order. Ace, and what was the next one? Ac. Okay, I feel pretty good about this. Okay, so I'm gonna revert the locales change again, because I'm just going to say to sort the keys. Bug sort keys for locales report and supported locales JSON files. Probably merge that into the prior one actually. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that. JJ squash RU. Use 2-space indent and key sorting. Key sorting. So those are squashed together now. And now let's actually, let's run the command again, one last time, and that's what we'll commit. Okay. So then the second patch will be bug update new tab locales. And let's file a bug. So new tab is a built-in add-on. Update independently. Okay, we're gonna block this bug. We're gonna say make locales report .json and supported locales.json use 2-space indent and sorted keys for dicts. Okay, so in bug, what was it? this one. In bug such and such, we swapped out the standard JSON module in the new tab mock commands script for the one supplied by MozFile. Supplied by MozFile. It seems that the one supplied by MozFile expects 2 space indentation and raises exceptions when trying to use 4, which is what we were supplying. While I'm here, I'll also add the sort keys directive so that the keys for dicts are sorted alphabetically to make the differences between versions of the report less noisy in Phabricator. Submit. All right, we'll go ahead and JJ describe. Oh, I love this one. Check this out. JJ describe R KVS : WSQ. So I'm going to change the commit messages of both of these. Single command brings up single editor. Whoops. Done. So I'll go ahead and submit for review. Not bad. Okay. Let's take a look at our patches. Easy peasy. And then it's this. We're gonna expand all the files. And the one that's most important is the locales one. Supported locales. This one's going to be fairly large and annoying, but hopefully from here on forward, it will be less large and annoying. See, like, look at supported locales. It's just being de-indented, so that's good. Sorry, it's not supported locales. It's locales report. Locales report. This is the one that's going to be annoying. So now we're just going to go ahead and have a much better situation there. So because the locales are now sorted in order, they should in theory require less shifting around in the JSON file. They won't shift around as much, and so the diffs will be smaller. So that's up for review. Hooah! We did it. Next up, review. I want to review some patches. We started reviewing some of these last week. I'm going to keep reviewing them. So this is related to that thing that we started reviewing last week about using... Oh, you know what? I should actually review this one first. Did I already review it? Did I already review it? I hadn't reviewed it. Now I will review it. Added a reviewer on the 8th. So I should review this one first. And this is related to that, like, the preferences redesign and rebuild. So what is this? Convert zoom settings section to config-based prefs. And that's using this patch having already been applied. So let's apply that locally. Let's check out main. Let's apply this locally. Moz fab patch. Apply to here. Skip dependencies. Actually, I could probably do this one and it'll get both of them. If I don't do skip dependencies, then what'll happen is it'll go get both. It's going to ask me if I want all the children. I don't want all the children. Incredible. So now we've got our 2 patches here. And now let's build. Make sure we're using an artifact build. I asked the chat last week about what people did for a living. Let's I'm gonna poll the audience, see what we got audience-wise. Any fun plans for the upcoming summer? If you're in the northern hemisphere, summer's here. We're in the thick of it. Do you have any holidays coming up? If so, what are your plans? What are you gonna do? My holiday next week, I'm gonna go into the woods. That's like a classic Canadian sort of summer thing to do, is to just head into the woods, go to a cottage or go to a beach or go to a trail or you know, head into the Muskokas or who knows, but getting out of the city, heading into the woods. You know, I live amongst the Great Lakes, so there's plenty of amazing wilderness and beaches and trails and mosquitoes and black flies, and it's a good time. So what are your plans, live hacking group? Anyone going anywhere fun? You don't have to give specifics, but just like, do you have any vacation coming up, I guess is the question. Ooh, Simon's typing. Simon writes, sort of heading into the woods in Finland in 2 weeks. Hey, that's cool. Finland's woods. Forests in Finland. Finland boasts extensive forests according to the AI overview. But visit finland.com. Well, holy cow, look at this. Look at the bokeh. Look at the sort of the wild, the lens artifacts going on here. This is idyllic. Credit, like, this is beautiful. This could have come from like a you know, a beach, or sorry, a lake or a river in Ontario. This looks very familiar. These mountains are not exactly the sort of thing you'd see in Ontario. That's beautiful. This bottom half, like if I covered everything from here down, I'm like, yeah, that looks like Ontario. From here up, it's like, holy smokes, that's cool. It's more like the Rockies. Is this AI? I have no idea. This could be AI. I have a hard time telling. These days it's difficult to tell. Would I put it past the Finland tourism office to generate these images from AI? I mean, maybe. They're quite beautiful. I don't see, how many fingers does this tree have? This person, 1, 2, 3. Is the fingers trick still working? This person looks real. Anyways, that looks amazing. Cool. Great trip, it sounds like, Simon. Maybe I'll visit Finland someday. Things to do. So many things to do around the world. Catherine says that there's more than 5 fingers on the tree and that it's fake. Let's see. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're right. Catherine, I think you've nailed it. You've cracked the case. Craig says, not using vacation, but an Ottawa multi-day music festival is happening right now, and I've been attending and watching bands almost every day. Tom Morello's there just by himself, or does he have a band, or is it just Tom Morello just soloing for an hour? Ottawa Music Festival, Tom Morello. Rapture's Badass One-Man Show. The official website of Tom Morello. Ottawa Blues Fest. Is that what we're talking about here? July? Yeah, that must be what it is. Blues Fest. Yes, it's Blues Fest. Wow, who's playing? Who's playing? Today is the 16th. Luscious, Tom Morello, Def Leppard, holy cow. The Decemberists, Funk Yourself, that's great. I know some of these bands. Let's see. Anyone else jump out at me? Cardinal Official. That guy is a legend in Canada. Green Day, classic. Dwayne Gretzky, another legend, at least in Canada, in Toronto at least. Yeah, this looks like a really fun time. Papa Roach. Papa Roach is still around, playing the Saturday on the RBC stage. Wow. That's not Papa Roach. That's Papa Roach. Very interesting. All right, let's get back to reviewing what were we doing. So we've applied the patches. We've got a build going. And let's take a look now and see what exactly the patch is doing, and we can test it out. So if we recall from last week, one of the patches in the series made it so that and it looks like this today actually the parent revision was removed as unnecessary. I've commandeered the patch and added the requested changes. Click changes both 1 and 2 are not enough to meet acceptance criteria. I guess we can leave that for part 3. I guess so. I've commandeered the patch and added the requested changes. So I have already reviewed this one, so this is good to go. It's interesting that the child revision was removed. Huh. I guess it's maybe not a requirement. This may break our whole thing here. Basic dialogue button for opening settings dialogue. Okay, so what does this actually do? This one disables the Moz button if the parent is disabled. So if a parent element is disabled of a Moz button, it will disable the Moz button. That makes sense. And what this patch does is it, instead of having the zoom controls, which let's take a quick familiarity. Let's get a quick familiarity of the zoom controls. Zoom box. Where's that going to be? Zoom box. Zoom right here. That's these things. So these are the controls that we're changing, and we are using a group ID and a setting group. So these are the new primitives that are being added, so that you don't have to do all the markup by hand. And then, oh yes, the MemoWise stuff. I remember this. This was very confusing last time. I think we'd actually started reviewing this last time, and I was trying to get my head wrapped around this MemoWise function. I eventually got it. We have this, this is an interesting pattern for doing a singleton class. And this is just sort of wrapping around the functionality for setting the preferences and getting values for the preferences. Where's the memoizer used? Add once. Preferences add setting. So we add the default zoom, and then when you set the value of default zoom, we do this. When we get it, it's async. We'll get the default zoom value and we'll round it. And then to get the configuration for the control, we check to see what the zoom values are, and we return, oh, I see, individual, these are the drop down options. These are these options. That's what it's doing. And it wants to do it once rather than every time. That makes sense. Preferences, default zoom value, the value, and then we add the setting, zoom text. What's that one? Zoom text. Default zoom. Oh, that's this one, whether or not to just zoom the text. Okay. Okay. And that is using whether or not to use full zoom or text. That is Okay, so there's some JS somewhere that's hooking that up. We'll have to make sure that those all mapped properly. And then we add a setting, zoom warning. Zoom warning. Text zoom override warning. So if you select this, does that, yeah, okay, zoom warning, interesting. That shows this warning. If you select zoom text only, your default zoom is not set to 100. It may cause some sites or content to break. Interesting. That is true. So we add a setting called the zoom warning, and it's not really I guess it's not a control. It's just a thing that may be visible. And then settings config, we're adding zoom. So we have the zoom header, preferences zoom header, which that makes sense. That's preferences zoom header, yeah. And then, oh, zoom header 2. Do we update some label zoom? Yeah, I agree. We should be definitely doing a migration here. Why? Oh, you know why? It's because they want to set the label on a header, like the way that they're doing this here with like a nested header. I think they're trying to not do that. And so they need to use the label attribute setter. And I agree, they should be using a migration. Okay, where was I? Heading level 2, and then default zoom. It's a selector. Zoom text. And then the zoom warning happens underneath. So that's difference. It's happening underneath now. Maybe that's important. And so we can get rid of some of this logic here, which gets the existing zoom values. Okay, so I just want to get the generalized shape of this thing. Handle zoom, default zoom change. Presumably that's happening now in the helper. Yeah. Okay, so we can look more closely at that later. And then setting control, when we change, we'll call on setting change, which is new, because we're going to dispatch an event. Asyncing the set value. Should we do the sync if we can? What happened to get value? We don't need get value anymore. Well, this is a little, yeah, what was using get value? Was anything using get value? Get value. Preferences, browser, components, preferences. Looks like no, looks like nothing was using it, so okay. But we do have set value, saying change, and then dot setting. Well, this is using this dot setting dot get value, but that I think is calling into this stuff up here. Oh, I'm getting a tea delivery. Pew, 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 pew. Thank you very much for the tea delivery. Let me play an air horn. Thank you very much for the tea delivery. She said thank you. You're welcome. Yeah. Hey, let me scroll back down here. A set value. We are calling that on setting, and the setting is going to be not the control, but the actual setting, which should be up in here. Right? What is set value? This dot set value. Sorry, get value is what I'm looking for. Get value. Where are we using get value? Here in preferences binding. Okay. Okay, this is starting to make sense. I had to keep scrolling. That was my problem. So it's coming. The setting binding will get the value for it and set our value in the UI from the binding. And then on change, so is it a problem that the value that this dot value might not have been set yet by the time we fire the setting change event? Because this is async. And the setting group, we're listening for setting change. Get effect, visibility, or layout. Run through the render process to make any changes. Let's work around for zoom text more not being dependent on the zoom text only setting. See, yeah, that worries me. Or should we await set value before firing this? Heading level, preferences. Yeah, I agree. We're going to want a migration. And then preferences binding an async function. What the heck? Get constructor equals. Oh, it's checking to see whether or not a function is async. That's fascinating. I had no idea you could do that. So like, let x equal async. Let y equal just a normal function. Async function, let's say const async function. So is x dot constructor equal to async function? Yes. Incredible. That's so interesting. I did not know that. That's pretty neat. It's kind of wild that there's not really a built-in way like to say like is constructor dot like is async or something. JavaScript check if function is async. Okay, so one way is to do the toString, and then this is the other one by the async function constructor. Huh. Okay. And I think that's mainly just to be able to throw errors. If not, okay. Is it necessary to throw in this case? Can we not return promise.resolve such and such? Or do we think it's necessary to fail loud in the event that we're binding an async setting with an binding an async setting with an async configuration? Okay. Get value. Seems like we could simplify this bit and route everything through. Yeah. Oh, on the getter. Async value. I agree with this one. Set value. Are we going to need unit tests? Same as above. Are we certain it's necessary to throw in the event that that configuration isn't set up for async write, but we can do a sync write? User change. Have a great day, Simon. Take care. User change. If not async get or set, then say that there was an async user change. Sorry, if we're using either of those. Or on user change. Async user change. Async value. See, this one, it's like it will happily accept. I guess the async get, we may have an async get but a sync set. I guess that's possible. And so it's a little more flexible. Okay. Let's take a look at the what the implementation looks like whenever we run it. So let's go to the Zoom controls. So here they are. Now it's putting the warning underneath. That's new. Notably, Zoom. Notably, this places the warning beneath the Zoom text checkbox, whereas before it was above. Is this intentional? Okay, and now I want to just double check that the actual binding is set up correctly. So we're going to take a look. You know what I might do is duplicate this tab. And we're going to take a look at what is it? Main.js. I want to make sure that the class here has been set up right. So here, right here. So what are we doing? We get the content pref service, and then we create the load context for not private, and then we say set global, because our set global function takes into browser context, and because we want to keep this property consistent across both private and non-private contexts, we create, there's a little nit here, we create a non-private context and use that to set the property. Oh, this is pre-existing spelling issue. Use that to set the property regardless of our actual context. And then we say set global non-private local load context, and then we actually have resolvers, handle completion, handle result. We'll resolve under handle result. Set global. I don't know if we actually want the, don't we want that on handle completion? Set global. Content pref callback to. For the retrieval methods is called once for each retrieved preference, called when the method finishes. is not called, it's only called for retrieval. And what are we doing here? We're setting. According to the documentation, handle result is only called for retrieval. So only called for retrieval. Maybe this should be a no-op instead. And then we return a promise. So set default zoom will be async now. That's new. And that one, okay, that's the only caller. And then get default zoom also. That's gonna get the global value. Okay, so let's take a look at the functionality here. Default zoom, let's say our default zoom is gonna be 200. Wow, that's a big zoom. Let's actually make it smaller, 30%. No, let's make it half. 50%. So this is now our default zoom is 50%. Cool. Now let's change it to text only. So now it's just the text that's at 50%. And now I'm going to change the text size to zoom. Then we'll go back to our default, which is 50. That's so interesting. It's powerful stuff. That seems to work properly, which is really cool. So I'm pretty happy with that implementation. I'm going to run the tests now. Browser, components, preferences, tests. Is there zoom? Is there anything here about zoom? No, preferences. Search within preferences. Having a sip of tea now. So that still works nicely because I guess it's rendering properly. Okay, is there anything else I wanted to check? I think we still need some answers for some of this other stuff. I agree. That seems like the right move here since we're just moving strings around. So I'm going to publish that review. I'm pretty happy with this. Let's go ahead and publish this review. Sorry for the delay. Okay, next, support control attributes for custom control attributes. What even is? Support arbitrary attributes properties for config-based settings. Some settings may not fit cleanly into config-based settings. They may be informational based on the current state, or simply be more complicated or dynamic. We should allow a setting to have a custom control which will be backed by a custom element. By providing a tag name and the control config, that element will be created. Listing the settings that the component depends on could provide a nice hook for poking the component to update when the settings change, although this could be handled directly in the custom element itself. I guess this is really just making it so that if we're just going to expand Is this the right way of doing that? What is, these are props on a settings control. Props the control accepts. can you do things like let x equal, or let config equal empty object, and we'll say dot 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 config. Whoops, sure. Dot 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 config got let y equal, so nothing. So if control attributes is undefined, is required from local testing. If control attributes is undefined, then the spread operator does not, like, let's double check here. Let y equals x5 config. Yeah. Then the spread operator does not insert anything into the props object. So this is fine, but I think this can be simplified by removing the, or probably be simplified. That's on settings control. And then support arbitrary options with nested items for config-based settings. And that thing that we just added was called control attributes. Is that used here? Settings control is not. So what's happening in this one? Support arbitrary options. Introduce support for Moz radio group backed inputs in the config-based settings architecture. The contrast control section can be used as a candidate replaced to use this feature. Note that the other option has a nested modal button. Here's an example config that looks like it would work for contrast control setting. Config system supports control radio group and control radio, which creates and populates a Moz radio group. Radio group inputs the underlying setting correctly, tests for the config options. So hang on, I've gone cross-eyed. Nested items for config-based settings. This is kind of annoying. It might make more sense to put it on the individual options as a control Moz option, but that'll be a decent amount of repetition. Could perhaps have a list of known options with the control as a fallback like we do for Moz checkbox as the default control. Control option control. Config-based settings. So what would this do? Default zoom, control, option control. The special case kind of annoying. We want value not whether it's checked or not for radios. If the local name is Moz radio, return the value. For radios, I see. Return the value. Render. So for each item, get item args, opt items, we map the config get setting, prepare a nested item, config setting config items, and the template will be this. For each item arg, we map to the template. And then any other children, or wait, if config options, okay, oh, and config option control. Config controls Moz select. So if there's an option control, then option tag is will create the option control, and then control children is for each options will map to the option tag. Individual individual option tag, and in this case that'll be Moz option. What's Moz option again? Storybook. What's Moz option? Settings. Checkbox. What's Moz option? Moz option. Settings control. Moz select. Moz option. So within here there is a Moz option, Moz select. Yeah, okay, Moz option. Okay, I understand. I understand what's going on here. It's the difference between select and option. So let's go back to the beginning. For each one, we're creating a Moz option underneath it. It makes put it on the individual, but it makes more sense to put it on the individual options. More sense than to put it on the individual options as control Moz option. That'll be a decent amount of repetition. Known options with the control as fallback, like we do for Moz checkbox. It's the default control. I mean, I'm wondering, is there ever a situation where we want another kind of option control under a control? A particular control. In practice, isn't it always Moz option beneath a Moz select, and always a radio under a radio group? Moz radio, and then what's under the radio? Moz radio under a Moz radio group. Moz radio under a Moz radio group. If so, then putting, if those assumptions are right, then it seems to make sense to have it declared here at the top level rather than repeat it for every individual option. Okay. Setting control. Option tag. Support page if it exists. Control is each control. Control is this at the top level. Properties for this element, the spread directive. Property mapping. Right, and this could include that config atchers. Config control props, which spreads over the control. That makes sense. So then if we apply this, like, what do we have right now? We have a select dropdown of some kind. We have a Moz select, And we do have Moz options underneath it. And so this makes it, oh, I see. It makes it less specialized. So this one, it's like hard coded in. That makes sense. I'm okay with that. And then stories. Let's apply these two. Fab patch, apply to here. Skip dependencies. I'm actually going to need the one just above it. I need, oops, whoopsie daisy. I need this one. And then I'll need this one. And then I'll need this one. Okay. Build faster. And storybook. Okay. So what did we just add? Stories for select and radio settings control. So that'll be down here. Radio. Yeah, and then radio. It's a full Moz radio. Learn more. Settings group. Cool. So yeah, description, setting. Controls a Moz option or Moz select. Radio. Yeah, that works for me. Stories.mjs. Oh, that's interesting. We're doing like Fluent stuff. That's cool. We can like have the Fluent built in. Today I learned we could put Fluent in our story, write Fluent in our stories. That's nice. And then browser layout example, Moz radio group using a Moz radio. Yeah. Makes sense. I'm into that. Cool. And then the color contrast. We've got a couple minutes left. 2:24. Do we have time for this? We might not have time for this. What should we do instead? Is there anything else we should do instead? I think I've reviewed. What have I reviewed? I think this one is done. Right? Yeah, I reviewed that one. Can I turn these into... Okay, well, whatever. They don't turn into nice checkboxes, but this one I've reviewed. Whoops. What about this one? I've reviewed that one. This one I have reviewed. And this one I have not reviewed, so I'll have to deal with that later. Maybe in the last minute, I'll show you a neat demonstration of train hopping. Will that work? It might not work. I don't think it's actually going to work. Yeah, because I've got to get like... Well, actually, let's see. Let's try it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to revert my changes. I'm going to shut down the Storybook server. I'm going to check out main. This is a fairly up-to-date version of Firefox. I'm going to build it. I'm going to add just something silly like some logging into our JavaScript. Activity stream .sys.mjs. And during like the construction phase, I'm going to have this thing go like console.log. Whoa, check me out. I'm from the new tab.xpi file. All right. So we're going to build that once this artifact build is done. Holy cow, what's going on here? What's going on, artifact build? Okay. And then it packages up the XPI. So then, if we mock run, we should actually see that console log show up in our instance here. Whoa, check me out. I'm from the new tab XPI file. Great. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the XPI that was generated under obj artifact dist XPI stage new tab at mozilla.org.xpi. I'm going to copy that into a different directory. I'm going to put under a new tab train hop. And then I'm going to revert the change. JJ restore browser extensions new tab. So now, if we mock build faster, we should no longer see the message. I've removed it from the source code here. Now, why would I do that? Well, I'm trying to demonstrate the train hopping thing because we took that XPI file and we moved it somewhere. I'm going to load it. So we're not seeing that message here anymore. What I'll do is I'll manually install the extension. I'm pretty sure if I have to flip some prefs though. Do I have signature? Required false, and then okay, I think that's the only thing I needed for this particular test. I'm going to install the add-on from new tab train hop. I'm going to choose this one. We'll go okay, and then I'm going to restart the browser. And if we take a look, do we see it? We do not, and I realize I know why. It's actually in the on Nimbus feature unenrolled. Uninstalling train app add-on version on Nimbus feature unenrolled. I think it's because the version number was different. Let me actually go inside of new tab, train hop, vim, new tab, at Mozilla, and I'm going to open up manifest.json, and I'm actually going to bump this version to this one. And now let's try again. And if this doesn't work, then maybe I need to go back to square one because we changed how the I need to rethink maybe how manual testing works here. All right, add and restart. Oh, and I uninstalled it. Oh, jeez. That's a problem. Now I need to figure out how to fix that. It's for manual testing. I mean, the other option is to use Nimbus DevTools. It just makes manual testing so much more of a pain, I'm realizing now. Okay, that's the thing I have to think about. Well, thank you for being here while I discovered that. Danny Colin writes, question about Fluent. Can you load an FTL file dynamically? By that I mean a file that isn't in the regular source tree. For example, a privileged extension like the WebCompat one. Yes, in fact, that's what the new tab extension is doing. The new tab extension has this thing called Resource Mapper and registers. We register our dynamic Fluent resources right here. So we grab the list of supported locales, and then we set up the resource to what's called the L10N file source to point at the files in the XPI in this case, and then we call register sources. So then dynamically they point to the right strings. So they don't have to be in the source tree. They can be in the XPI, which is fairly exciting. All right, I gotta wrap it up. Hey, thanks for watching episode 410 of The Joy of Coding. I gotta think about what to do about that extension uninstall thing, because that's gonna make testing a pain in the butt. But don't worry about that. Don't worry about me at all. I'm going on vacation. I will see you the week after next. Let me know what you thought of this episode. There's a rate this episode form here in the agenda. I'll put a link to that in the chat. Link to rate this episode. Go ahead, fill that out. Let me know what you thought. Tell me what you want to see less of, what you want to see more of, what you would like me to cover. Do you have any questions that I could try and answer? You know, about the code base or Firefox or web browsers or Mozilla or anything? Go ahead, send questions in. I'll do my best. If I have the answers, I can figure out the answer. I'll try and answer it on the stream. I'll do my best. And with that, I'll call it there. Thank you so much for watching episode 410. I'll be back the week after next with 411, and we'll keep on trucking. Have yourselves a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.